You throw glass at a tank. That's the plan Britain gives you. Not a joke. June 1940. Dunkirk beaches empty. 338,000 men rescued, but 2,472 artillery pieces abandoned. 8,400 anti-tank guns left on French sand. 64,000 vehicles gone. Britain stands with 167 anti-tank guns defending an island. Everyone knows the Germans are about to invade. 167 guns for the whole country. German panzers proved in Poland and France and the Low Countries. Britain has rifles and Home Guard volunteers armed with pickaxes and Molotov cocktails. The War Office forbids using a single round of anti-tank ammunition for training, because there isn't any to spare. Churchill looks at this and knows armor will roll through English villages in weeks, maybe days, unless someone invents something fast. The tank crew. But how do you make a soldier get close enough to place it? How do you make it stick? German tanks move, dust coats them, mud cakes their hulls, vertical surfaces shed everything. Buckinghamshire. They called it Winston Churchill's Toy Shop. The place developed limpet mines, demolition charges, fuses for sabotage. Now they needed to solve the tank problem. Gordon Norwood, a master printer recruited by McCrae, suggested using a frangible container, and he grabbed a 150-watt light bulb, put it inside a knitted wool sock, threw it. Glass shattered, but the fabric held the pieces together in a deformable mass. They filled glass flasks with cold porridge for testing. It worked. The glass sphere contained 1.25 pounds, or 570 grams of this semi-liquid explosive, enough to penetrate at least 1 inch of armor plating, more than sufficient to crack through engine decks on German panzers of 1940 and 41. McCrae needed adhesive strong enough to hold over half a kilogram of explosive against vertical steel while a soldier ran for cover. He had a tin of birdlime labeled with a large K and markings showing Stockport as origin, no manufacturer name. McCrae took a train to Stockport, found a taxi driver, asked to be driven to any company that might make birdlime with a K logo. The driver took him to K Brothers Limited. The company's chief chemist listened to the problem, and within weeks developed an adhesive derived from birdlime that met McCrae's requirements. Birdlime is a sticky, clay-like substance traditionally smeared on tree branches to trap birds. The chemist at K Brothers turned it into military-grade glue. Attached to a bakelite handle 8 inches long containing a 5-second fuse mechanism and striker assembly. The whole assembly wrapped in a 2-piece sheet metal casing to protect the sticky surface. Pull the first safety pin, and the metal casing falls away, exposing the adhesive sphere. Pull the second pin to arm the striker. Throw it or run up and smash it against the tank hull. Glass breaks. Explosive spreads. Fabric and adhesive hold it in place. Release the handle lever. 5 seconds. Run. If you weren't careful after removing the protective casing, it would stick to your uniform, your equipment, your webbing. Then you're holding a live grenade you can't pull free while desperately gripping the safety lever. But Churchill was watching France collapse and German barges gathering across the channel. In October 1940, he wrote a memo. 3 words. Make 1 million. By December, fewer than 66,000 had been produced. Rate of 5 to 10,000 per week. Disappointing. The original order for 1 million got suggested for a reduction to 200,000. Engineers made improvements. Most significant was replacing the glass sphere with plastic for the Mark II version from 1943 onward. After passing required tests, the No. 74 Grenade Mark II was accepted by the Ordnance Board, put into full-scale production. By July 1941, 215,000 sticky bombs existed. Nearly 90,000 shipped to North Africa, South Africa, the Middle East, Greece. The remainder distributed to Home Guard units and stored at ordnance depots across Britain. The No. 74 measured 9.5 inches in length when assembled. The sphere itself was 5 inches in diameter. Total weight, with handle approximately 2 pounds. Packed 5 grenades per steel case with 5 handles, wrapped in corrugated cardboard and 5 detonator assemblies in a cardboard tube clipped inside the lid. Case dimensions, 46.5 centimeters by 28 centimeters by 14.5 centimeters, marked with date codes. One example, dated February 1941, survives in collections. Artifacts including the No. 74 Mark I and Mark II specimens, and from Stuart McCrae's own memoir, Winston Churchill's Toy Shop, published 1971 by Roundwood Press, detailing first-hand development accounts. The Tank Museum's technical reports on anti-magnetic coatings confirm German responses to adhesive weapons. Now back to the information. Lieutenant General Sir Ian Jacob reflected on May 14, 1941. Most extraordinary feature of the whole business was that the Secretary of State for War in a minute to the Prime Minister on November 25, 1940, said the Director of Artillery and Ordnance Board had only just obtained from ICI the details of explosive in the bomb. The weapon was demonstrated in June 1940. This statement hardly holds water. War Office seems to blame. Up to end of April 1941, no sticky bombs issued to any unit. No dummies provided for training. In view of acute shortage of anti-tank weapons, the whole story is discreditable. By July, Nearly 1.5 million men volunteered. At first, they had armbands that said LDV for Local Defense Volunteers, no uniforms, armed with privately owned shotguns, knives fastened to poles, Molotov cocktails. By July 1940, they received uniforms and basic training. 500,000 American M1917 Enfield rifles shipped from U.S. reserve stocks, 25,000 Browning automatic rifles, millions of rounds of ammunition bought from America, still desperately short of anti-tank weapons. Coastal defenses went up, beaches mined. RAF fought the Battle of Britain through the summer. The Germans could come any day. Many took a liking to the weapon, despite obvious flaws. It was something. It was better than a pickaxe. Another training incident saw a soldier accidentally let the grenade swing back too far while practicing the throwing motion. It stuck to his back. Predictable results. Training accidents happened. The weapon was genuinely dangerous to the user, but Britain had little choice. When the grenade detonated, the bakelite handle shot away from the explosion like a bullet. Stand too close and it could kill you as easily as the blast. Crews had to get clear fast. 5 seconds sounds like time, but when you're running from a tank in combat, 5 seconds disappears. Sticky bomb adhesive worked fine on clean steel test plates in England. Put it against a Panzer that just drove 200 kilometers through desert, and the adhesive grabbed nothing. Bomb fell off. Wasted throw. Wasted explosive. Wasted life if you got that close to enemy armor and failed to stop it. Some found their way into early desert campaign actions. Germans observed. Germans responded. In December 1943, they developed Zimmerit. This was an anti-magnetic coating applied to tank hulls. Made from 40% barium sulfate, 25% polyvinyl acetate, 15% ochre pigment, 10% zinc sulfide, 10% sawdust. Mixed with 50% benzene solution, it became a paste. Applied with trowels to factory fresh panzers, starting August 1943. Required 6 millimeters thickness, applied in 2 millimeter layers with 4 hours drying time between coats, blowtorch to evaporate solvents. Coating a Tiger One required 200 kilograms of Zimmerit. Panzer IV needed half that. Different factories used different application styles. The raised ridges increased distance between magnetic mine and hull surface without adding excessive weight. Zimmerit wasn't actually anti-magnetic, but the spacing reduced magnet effectiveness. More importantly for sticky bombs, the rough, irregular surface gave adhesive less contact area. Germany was the only major combatant to use magnetic anti-tank mines in significant numbers. The Allies never fielded them widely. So Zimmerit was developed to counter a threat that mostly didn't exist. The British sticky bomb wasn't even magnetic. It relied on pure adhesive stick. But German tankers feared adhesive weapons after seeing them work in France and North Africa, so they applied Zimmerit anyway. Application stopped September 9, 1944. Rumors said Zimmerit caught fire when hit by incoming rounds. Tests proved this false. Real reason was production delays. Zimmerit took days to apply and dry. Germany was losing the war and couldn't spare the time. British and Commonwealth forces used sticky bombs in desperate close-quarter fighting. They accounted for 6 German tanks confirmed destroyed in that action. 6 tanks stopped by men running up to armor and slapping explosive against the hull. Think about the courage required. Tank machine guns traversing, commanders firing pistols from turret hatches. You're carrying a glass sphere wrapped in fabric coated with glue containing over a pound of nitroglycerin. You have to get within arm's reach of enemy steel. Smash the grenade against the tank. Pull the pin. Run. 5 seconds. If the adhesive fails, the bomb falls. If you slip, the tank drives over you. If you take too long getting clear, you die in the blast. 6 German tanks. How many men died making those throws? Australian Army received sticky bombs for the New Guinea campaign. Battle of Wau, January 29th to February 4th, 1943. Japanese 102nd Infantry Regiment crossed from Rabaul to Lae by ship, then advanced overland toward the Australian base at Wau. Australians of the 17th Infantry Brigade airlifted in by American Dakotas. Brutal close-quarter jungle fighting. Sticky bombs issued to Australian infantry. Battle of Milne Bay earlier, August 1942. Japanese landed with light tanks. Australians had thought the swampy terrain made tank use impossible. They were wrong. Japanese tanks attacked with coaxial lights illuminating their fields of fire. They ran at enemy armor through machine gun fire. The bombs wouldn't stick. Tank hulls wet from swamp water and rain, mud coating the steel. Adhesive grabbed nothing. Bombs fell. Men died trying. Battalion history records. Lieutenant Mackey and Sergeant Spencer outstanding in efforts to stem enemy tanks. Doesn't say what happened to them. You can guess. Australian troops used sticky bombs successfully during advances around Wau and Salamaua through 1943. Dense jungle meant close-range encounters, ambush distances, tank moving slow through vegetation. Soldier can get alongside. Slam the grenade on the engine deck where armor is thinner. Pull pin, dive into undergrowth, wait for the blast. Another kill. Allied forces landed south of Rome trying to outflank German defensive lines. Germans counterattacked hard. fighting stalemated into brutal attritional combat. 1st Special Service Force, a joint American-Canadian commando unit, used sticky bombs in nighttime raids against German positions. Australian forces in the beachhead also employed them. Close-quarter trench fighting, where grenade range mattered more than artillery. French resistance received quantities of sticky bombs. Britain airdropped supplies to resistance networks from 1943 onward. Sticky bombs useful for sabotage. Attached to parked German vehicles, set fuse, walk away, 5 seconds, vehicle destroyed. Railway locomotives, fuel trucks, command cars. Resistance fighters could approach a target in darkness, place the grenade, arm it, disappear before explosion. No need for shooting. No need to stand and fight, perfect for guerrilla warfare. By 1943, better anti-tank weapons arrived. The Piat, projector infantry anti-tank, entered service 1943. Shoulder-launched spigot mortar firing a shaped charge bomb. Much more effective range, much safer for the user. Hawkins' grenade offered another option. Rectangular mine that could be placed under tank tracks or thrown. American bazooka tubes shipped to British forces. Each improvement made the sticky bomb less necessary. Tank Museum at Bovington preserves examples. Military collectors found steel carrying cases marked with unit designations and date stamps. To get within 10 feet of a Japanese tank to use it, the French resistance operative who walked past German sentries with a sticky bomb hidden under his coat. These men knew the weapon was primitive, knew it was dangerous, knew it often failed. Used it anyway because the alternative was letting enemy armor roll through unopposed. Asked for recognition of his part in developing the sticky bomb. Application was opposed. Officials said he was given the concept on a plate. Basic idea came from Millis Jeffress. McCrae didn't contradict this. Instead, emphasized his development work, finding K brothers, testing materials, solving practical problems. He was awarded £500. In 2023, money that equals approximately £24,700. Not much for a weapon that armed an empire. McCrae shared other awards, £600 jointly for the El Delay switch, £400 for the limpet mine, £300 for an air pressure switch, £200 for igniters, detonators, signal flashes. K Brothers Limited, the Stockport company that developed the adhesive, also claimed awards. The managing director went to the Royal Commission, argued his chemists created the glue that made the weapon work. Without that adhesive, the sticky bomb would have been just another thrown explosive with no special capability. No records survive, showing final awards to K Brothers. Transferred to Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, October 9th, 1947, with substantive rank of Major dated back to October 6th, 1942. Promoted Substantive Lieutenant Colonel July 1st, 1950. Awarded Territorial Efficiency Decoration with clasp June 15th, 1951. 1953, he was questioned about possessing certain documents from his MD1 days, security concerns, Cold War paranoia. Nothing came of it. He retired from Army service January 1st, 1955, with honorary rank of colonel. Between 1956 and 1970, took out patents for reflecting road studs. 1971, published Winston Churchill's Toy Shop, memoir detailing his work developing weapons at the Firs. The book revealed for first time the true extent of Britain's desperate improvisation in 1940. Limpet mines, sticky bombs, time delay fuses, shaped charges, all developed in a country house by a small team working under Churchill's direct patronage. The Hiesh, high explosive squash head, round became standard for British tanks, based on principles Jeffress explored in 1938. Even Molotov cocktails probably destroyed more German armor over the whole war. German tankers feared sticky bombs because of what the weapon represented. Infantry getting close, personal combat, looking up from your hatch and seeing a man running at your tank, seeing glass and fabric in his hand, knowing if that grenade sticks, you're dead and there's nothing you can do about it. You can traverse the machine gun, but he's too close. You can fire your pistol, but he's already at the hull. 5 seconds. The blast comes through. Fragments ricochet inside. Fuel ignites. Ammunition cooks off. Tank becomes a steel coffin. Placed the explosive. Looked you in the eye. That stays with you. That makes you hesitate when you should be pushing forward. Makes you button up when you should be fighting unbuttoned with better visibility. Makes you waste ammunition firing at shadows because maybe someone is creeping up with glass and glue. But it worked just often enough to matter. 6 tanks here, 3 tanks there, 1 command vehicle, 1 supply truck. Add them up over 3 years of war across 3 continents. Add the psychological impact. Add the German time and resources spent developing and applying Zimmerit coating that proved unnecessary. Add the missions German tanks didn't undertake because crews were worried about infantry with adhesive grenades. In 1940, Britain stood alone with inadequate anti-tank defenses facing the Wehrmacht at peak efficiency. Within weeks, someone invented a weapon using materials already in production. Glass from light bulb factories, nitroglycerin from chemical plants, wool socks from textile mills. birdlime from commercial suppliers, bakelite handles from plastics manufacturers. Every component already existed. Just needed someone to put them together correctly. That someone was McCrae working under Jeffress, using ideas from Gordon Norwood and chemistry from Kay Brothers and political backing from Churchill. Montgomery's 8th Army and American forces did that. It didn't liberate New Guinea. Australian divisions and American air power did that. But in small actions, at desperate moments, when other weapons weren't available, the number 74 gave soldiers a chance. Not a good chance, not a safe chance, but a chance. Fired grenades using black powder and musket caps. Nearly 19,000 produced. Blacker bombard, spigot mortar, fired 20-pound bomb. Dangerous to cruise, Smith gun, 3-inch smoothbore. Ammunition detonated in tube killing crews, pike. Literally a steel blade on a wooden pole. Issued to home guard when rifles ran short. Against these, the sticky bomb almost looks sophisticated. At least it had shaped explosive. At least it could theoretically penetrate armor. At least it gave the user a fighting chance if circumstances aligned. And somehow, it didn't seem insane. Somehow it seemed necessary. Because the alternative was doing nothing while tanks rolled through English villages. Never adopted by British forces. Never needed it because Britain never developed magnetic anti-tank mines in quantity. The whole Zimmerit program was German response to a threat largely invented in German minds after seeing sticky bombs in action. Germans assumed British would develop magnetic mines because Germans had magnetic mines. Never happened. So Zimmerit protected against a weapon that didn't exist while actually being somewhat effective against sticky bombs, which were adhesive, not magnetic. But adhesive had hardened to brittle consistency. Would never stick to anything now. Glass spheres showed stress fractures. Bakelite handles yellowed but structurally sound. Took samples for chemical analysis. Confirmed ICI explosive mixture. Confirmed Kay Brothers birdlime adhesive base. Confirmed everything McCrae wrote in his memoir. One museum curator said, "Looking at those grenades, you understand the desperation. You see the improvisation. You hold physical proof of Churchill's determination to make Britain fight on any terms. No mention of anti-tank guns abandoned on the beaches. No mention of the crisis that drove Britain to arm soldiers with glass grenades. Because Dunkirk is remembered as deliverance, miracle, victory snatched from defeat. Complaints from units about grenades sticking to uniforms, requests for additional supplies, everything documented, everything preserved. That file tells the real story, not miracle, not victory, survival. Britain survived 1940 by taking every measure imaginable. Building coastal defenses, training civilians for guerrilla warfare, inventing weapons from whatever materials existed. Sticky bombs were part of that, small part. Primitive part, dangerous part, but part of the whole desperate effort to stop German armor if it came ashore. Remember it existed, but don't dwell on why we needed it. Don't dwell on what it says about how close we came. Said some commanders ordered extra vigilance around suspected British positions, specifically because of those grenades. One Panzer Company commander said in a 1948 interview that his unit suffered 2 tank losses to adhesive grenades in Tunisia. He remembered both incidents clearly, the way his tanks just stopped, the way smoke came from the engine decks, the way crew bailed out. He said those were worse than getting hit by anti-tank gun because you knew someone got close enough to touch your tank and you never saw them coming. Fear everyone felt in 1940 when invasion seemed certain and anti-tank defenses consisted largely of improvised weapons that might not work. Inside would have been 5 grenades, 5 handles, 5 detonators. Case measures 46.5 centimeters by 28 by 14.5. Empty now, but you can see the mounting brackets. You can see scuff marks where soldiers grabbed the handle. This case probably went to a home guard unit somewhere in southern England. Probably sat in a village hall or church basement. Probably was opened by men in their 50s and 60s who last threw grenades at the Somme. They would have looked at these glass spheres coated in sticky brown glue and wondered if they could really stop a panzer. Smashes grenade against steel, glass breaks, you hear it. Explosive spreads, adhesive grabs. He pulls second pin, arms fuse, releases lever, runs. Camera follows him diving behind berm. 5 seconds, explosion, smoke, mock-up has a dent. Instructor explains this would penetrate actual armor, explains engine decks are ideal targets. Never explains how you get that close to a moving tank in actual combat. Home Guard battalion conducting live fire exercises. One volunteer threw his grenade, adhesive failed, grenade bounced off, landed 5 feet away, still armed. Fuse counting down, men scattered. Explosion showered them with dirt and fragments. 3 casualties. 1 man lost his eye. Another broke his arm diving for cover. 3rd suffered concussion. Battalion commander filed report. Said adhesive ineffective against dusty surfaces. War Office response said casualties were acceptable given weapons' importance. Keep training. Keep believing it would work when needed. Reconnaissance, sabotage, silent killing. One auxiliary patrol in Sussex during 1941 conducted realistic training against British tanks. Night exercises, infiltrated through woods, located tank logger with 3 tanks parked. approached silently, got within 10 yards before detection. In actual combat, they would have placed sticky bombs on engine decks and withdrawn. Exercise commander said this proved civilian resistance could damage enemy armor even after front lines collapsed. Strategic impact beyond simple kill numbers. Use sticky bombs against parked vehicles, or place them on dugout entrances as booby traps. Timer fuse meant they could be gone before explosion. One mission report from March 1944 describes patrol destroying 3 German trucks and 1 half-track using 4 sticky bombs. No casualties. Germans never detected infiltration until explosions occurred. That's optimal use. Professional soldiers executing planned operations rather than desperate infantry throwing glass at approaching armor. Commander yells, "Wait until it's close. Wait, wait. 30 yards, 20 yards. Now." Soldier stands, runs, machine gun fire from tank. Soldier keeps running, gets to tank. Slams grenade against hull, pulls pin. German commander sees grenade stuck to his tank, orders driver reverse. Too late. Explosion. Tank stops, smoke, crew bails. 1 British soldier probably dead from machine gun fire. 1 German tank out of action. Fair trade when you have no other options. Enemy steal. Most men who get close enough to use sticky bombs don't get away clean. Accept that before you pick one up. Reported adhesive worked better in cold weather. Reported placing grenades on fuel tanks caused secondary explosions. Reported 1 fighter killed when grenades stuck to his coat. 10 survivors continued operations. High success rate against parked vehicles. High casualty rate among users. But resistance warfare accepts casualties. Every German truck destroyed is 1 less moving supplies to front. Terrain dominated everything. Mountains covered in jungle, narrow muddy tracks, visibility measured in yards. Supply lines depended on carriers walking single file. Heavy weapons couldn't be moved forward. Perfect conditions, theoretically, for sticky bombs. Close range, slow-moving targets, but mud, rain, humidity, adhesive degraded, glass cracked during transport, explosive absorbed moisture, fuses became unreliable. Battle of Milne Bay, August 1942. Japanese landed with Type 95 Heigo light tanks, 13 tons, 37mm gun, 2 machine guns. Australian troops of 2nd 10th Battalion positioned along track to airstrips. Japanese attacked night of August 27th with tanks leading. Australians needed to stop those tanks. Sticky bombs issued earlier that day. Got close to lead tank, pulled pin, through. Grenade hit hull, bounced off. Mud coating defeated adhesive. Tank kept moving. Mackey grabbed another grenade, ran alongside, tried to place it on engine deck. Tank machine gunner saw him, fired. Mackey fell. Sergeant Spencer moved up. Different approach. Waited until tank slowed, ran to rear, climbed on engine deck, placed grenade directly on ventilation grate, pulled pin, jumped off. 5 seconds. Explosion. Tank stopped. Engine fire. Spencer survived. 1 kill, 1 dead officer, 1 wounded sergeant, 2 grenades expended, 3 more tanks kept coming. Those Type 95 tanks dominated battlefield for days until anti-tank guns arrived. First days showed sticky bomb limitations. Nitroglycerin filling, adhesive composition, recommendations issued, add hull texture to reduce adhesive effectiveness, led directly to Zimmerit development. Testing at German proving grounds showed sticky bombs effective against clean steel but defeated by surface treatments. Engineers developed Zimmerit formula. Field trials showed reduction in sticky bomb effectiveness, but trials used captured grenades. Never tested against properly thrown grenades in actual combat conditions. Found application time added days to production during period when Germany desperately needed tanks at front. British threat driving German response was real but smaller than perceived. Fear magnified impact beyond actual danger. Psychological warfare, achieving aims. But Churchill saw Britain's strategic situation clearly. Invasion threat demanded solutions immediately. Perfect weapons take years. Good weapons take months. Adequate weapons take weeks. Sticky bomb took weeks. Glass from light bulbs, glue from birdlime, explosive from chemical plants. Combine them. Test enough to prove concept. Put into production. Issue to troops. Figure out problems later. Survival first, refinement second. His memo, Make 1 Million, became a famous example of Churchill's leadership style. 3 words, clear instruction, no debate, no committee, direct order from Prime Minister. Used that authority repeatedly in 1940. Ordered development of parachute troops, ordered creation of commando forces, ordered massive expansion of bomber production, ordered sticky bombs. Some decisions proved brilliant, some proved wasteful. All proved better than paralysis. Piats, bazookas, anti-tank guns handled armored threats. Sticky bombs remained for situations where nothing else available or when stealth required. Timer fuse allowing withdrawal before explosion. Small size enabling concealment during infiltration. In these roles, sticky bomb remained relevant through 1945. Better to destroy them than risk accidental detonation decades later. Gave British infantry option when they had nothing else. Embodied Churchill's determination to fight with whatever means available. symbolized Britain's darkest hour when invention and courage substituted for proper equipment. That's the real story, not miracle weapon, not complete failure, something in between. Desperate measure that worked just often enough, primitive solution to impossible problem. Glass and glue and courage against German steel.